you may be asking yourself, why are we talking about women's wellness in a setting where we're talking to entrepreneurs? Why are we talking about that? And the reason is because without health, there is no wealth. Furthermore, if you don't manage your physical wellness, you will not be able to take care of your fiscal wellness. And I also want to tell you that the first business that every woman has to be successful at is taking care of herself. This is essential for you. You must nurture the nurturer. And finally, if you don't take time to stay well, then you're going to have to make time to get well. That is the reality of life. And what I'm here to talk about today is a little bit about how menopause impacts on that. And what has menopause got to do with any of those things I was talking about? Everything. Absolutely. I thought it might be useful to tell you a little bit about why I'm so passionate about this particular area and how I got started in it. So I'll be very brief and just go through it. When I came to Boston in 1979, it was the year after the first in vitro fertilization, the first test tube baby in the world. And I was dead set on trying to do the first one in the United States. And what happened is I immediately jumped in and had the opportunity to do a lot of research with measuring follicles and timing ovulation and a whole lot of other things, and was actually one of the international leaders in menopause, in infertility. And my book on infertility at that time was actually used by Robin Cook to write one of his novels. So what happened was, after doing that for some 20 years, it became clear to me that this technology was evolving, and I found myself becoming more of a technician. It had gone from exciting and new and research to basically a redundant sort of a technical task. And so at the same time, my patients had been around for 15, 20 years, had wanted me to take care of them as they went from their reproductive years into the years beyond. And so I had many patients who were trying to get pregnant, but many patients who were beyond that point, and many of them were on estrogen. And then in 2002, there was a paper called the Women's Health Initiative, the WHI. And in that paper, it said that estrogen caused breast cancer, heart disease, and dementia, among other things. Now, it was wrong, but it was damaging. And estrogen at that time was the #1 prescribed medicine in the United States of America. It was like a $7 billion pill. Those are in those year dollars. And what happened was, all of a sudden, women started throwing their estrogen into the garbage can. They quit taking it. They had their symptoms back. They were angry because they had been taking something that was going to cause breast cancer or heart disease. And they were miserable. They were totally miserable. Well, 7 months after that paper, there was another paper that came out that said there was this new gene, this BRCA gene, this breast cancer gene. And it sounds like it's all about breast cancer, but now they call it the breast and ovarian hereditary syndrome. And really it should be also and pancreas, because there's a 22-time increase of pancreatic cancer with this BRCA. This is a bad gene. My wife, who had lost many of the family members to ovarian cancer, they died before 50, had always worried she was going to die of ovarian cancer, got tested, and was positive. So a month after that, she decided to have her tubes and ovaries removed. Now, if you have worry about ovarian cancer, just let me tell you, 70% of it starts in the fallopian tubes, not in the ovaries. So if you have your ovaries out, you leave your tubes in. If you know someone, they have to have both out to make a difference. So here we were in a situation where I had this growing number of patients who were in menopause or reaching it. And now I had a real why. I had my wife who was trying to figure this out, and she's going to be taking estrogen when they said it caused breast cancer, and she's got the breast cancer gene, right? So that's pretty scary. So I had to do a lot of research about this. And in fact, when you look at the data from the Women's Health Initiative study, the 2002 study, there are a couple of things you need to understand about it. First of all, the study wasn't about estrogen. It was about an estrogen named Premarin, a pill, and a synthetic progesterone called Provera. So Premarin, Provera, Prem-Pro. And the women who got the Prem-Pro were somewhere between 60 and 79 years old. And they couldn't get younger ones because everybody was on estrogen. They couldn't find anybody who wasn't on estrogen. So the women with the Prem-Pro were 60 to 79. The women with the placebo were mostly 50 to 59. The women who got the Prem-Pro had many smokers, hypertensives, and diabetics, all risk factors for heart conditions and other things. The women who were 50 to 59, who got the placebo, were basically healthy young women. So who do you think is going to end up worse? The older women, and they did. Now, we're talking about the older women, and so you may think menopause is all about age. But it's not about age. It's about transition. Because here's the facts. The mean age of menopause is 51 in the United States. But 10 to 20%, 5 to 10% of women go through menopause before age 45. 5 to 10%. 1 in 100 women goes into menopause before age 40. 1 in 1,000 women goes into menopause before age 30. 1 in 10,000 women goes into menopause before age 20. The face of menopause is every face. And the symptoms of menopause begin up to 10 years before menopause starts. So we're talking about a window of life, a swath of time, a group of women that's vast. 6,000 women a day enter menopause, 2 million a year. There's over 50 million women in the United States in menopause. And this has a lot to do with business. And let me tell you why. I want to tell you some of the studies that have gone on, because we know that compared to 2002, 80% fewer women, 80% fewer women today take estrogen than did in 2002. Fear, confusion, uncertainty, they don't want to touch it. So you're either going to play Russian roulette, or you're going to do without it and you're going to grin and bear it. I don't want you to grin and bear it. I want you to grin. And here's some of the data that's happened as a result of not taking estrogen in this country. A study that came out in the American Journal of Public Health showed that doing actuarial types of analysis, a paper out of Yale, showed that the estimated loss of life of women for not taking estrogen was roughly 50,000 women died prematurely because they did not take estrogen, mostly because of heart disease. In addition, in another study that came out looking at the impact of women in the workplace, this is a study of 500,000 women complaining of hot flashes. Now you think hot flashes, what's the big deal? I can tough it out, right? I can deal with that. I'm a woman. I can deal with this. So 250,000 of these women were treated with hot flashes, for their hot flashes, and 250,000 women were not treated. The 250,000 women not treated for their hot flashes had 1.5 million more doctor's visits during the next 12 months. 1.5 million more doctor's visits, costing $400 million. And if you extrapolate that to the number of women with moderate to severe hot flashes in the entire country, We are talking about a cost to this country of $14 billion for our hot flashes.